Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever and whenever you may be listening to this broadcast. I'm Mark Holliday. Welcome to your encouraging word for today. Hey, before we get started, you know what I would like for you to do? I want you to like, I want you to subscribe, I want you to share, I want you to talk about, I want you to pass this on to someone, because our goal is to encourage, equip, and empower you for everyday living. Why? So you can be an effective witness. Listen, no matter what we talk about on this broadcast and broadcast in the future and in times past, our goal is to equip you to be a witness. Who are we being a witness for? We're going to be a witness for Jesus Christ. And the reason why I say this, we teach in segments. You know, we go a few months and we're going to teach on things, spiritual things such as salvation. But we're in the section of our broadcast time where we're teaching on kind of like when I say relationship wise. We're going to begin to talk about marriage. In this section, we're talking about manhood. One of our goals this month and in the next weeks to come, my goal is to build men up. You know, I've been looking in time past over the last couple of months and then dealing with some of my brothers, whether it's in the workplace and in the church. I see a deficiency in relationship with men one toward another. And what do I mean by that? Society has men battling with one another, battling as competition. Men love competition, but when it comes down to the point where you're tearing one another down, now we have a problem. And what I want to talk to you today about, I want to talk to you about the spirit of jealousy. And when I say the spirit of jealousy, I'm talking about jealousy to the point where it's hindering your blessings. And you don't want your blessings hindered. I've learned by experience and watching other successful men, the best way to advance and succeed in life is to get with another strong individual who's more experienced than you, that's farther up the road in you, that has the result and the fruit that you're looking for. Now, some people think it comes from age. I hear people say, well, I'm old enough to be your father, but yet you act like you're 16. Or I'm old enough to teach you some things, but yet you have no fruit. And see, what I'm looking for in an individual, as one of my mentors taught me, he said, Mark, be a fruit inspector. All right. I like, what do you mean by that? He said, no matter what an individual says, look for the fruit in their life. If there's no fruit, you can disregard everything they has to say. And before I go into that, you know, I got to give you a gym analogy. I love watching people in the gym, and you can always find an individual in the gym that's giving out all the advice, what to eat, what not to eat, macros, micros, eat this much protein, cut this carb, do this exercise. But when you look at their body, it does not exemplify none of the information that they're giving out. And then I look at another guy over in the corner, my God, his shoulders, back, legs, biceps, triceps, low body fat. I mean, he's put together, and yet he's there quiet. And if you walk over to an individual like that, they will pour their heart out and giving you information and what to do to get yourself in line. And so, and this is what I'm talking about. We're looking for fruit. We're looking for strong men who can help us build ourselves, build one another. Iron sharpens iron. All right. That being said here, I'm going to give you a few scriptures here. But before we get started, I want you to write down Cain and Abel, Saul and David, and Joseph and his brothers. I'm going to say it again. I want you to write down Cain and Abel, Saul and David, Joseph and his brothers. And I'll go into that in a second. But before we get started, I just want to define this little word called jealousy, because many times we hear it, but we need to know what it is, because many times you can be walking in jealousy and the person you're jealous of, you need to get with them. Why? They have something that you need. And then you need to ask yourself, why are you jealous? First, speaking to men, because I believe when men are built up, whether it's in society, whether it's in the workplace, I'm not negating women. Please don't hear that. But what I am saying is there's something about when a man is in place in certain venues, like in the church or in the home or in certain areas of work. Now, I'll get into it on another broadcast. It was women that taught me a lot of aspects of my spirituality, because women are very intuitive about things. My wife teaches me certain things. She brings and or highlights certain things that I totally miss. But what I'm talking about on this broadcast, I'm talking to men, because when the men are in place, especially in the African American household, when you are in place, you are a force to be reckoned with, and God want to build you from the ground up. And what I mean by, I explain that later. But watch this. What is this word jealousy? It's an emotion characterized by either envy, insecurity, fear of losing something valuable, or you perceive someone to be a threat or your rival competitor. I'll say that again. Jealousy will begin to manifest itself in the ways of envy, insecurity. You feel like you're getting ready to lose something valuable, or you look at a person as your rival or competitor. And that's why I wanted you to write down Cain and Abel, Saul and David, Joseph and his brothers. If you look at any venue, any setting, whether it's the church, whether it's the workplace, whether it look at family, when you see men rivaling with one another, if it's not a healthy rivalry or competition, you're going to find envy. In other words, you're going to find this individual, you dislike this person for whatever reason. They haven't done anything to you. They haven't said anything to you. Their very presence for some reason irritates you. Or watch this. Sometimes men are involved in insecurity. When I say insecurity, what's going on is this person get around you and it's not them that's the problem. It's something within you and yourself that's causing you to feel inadequate. You may look at, my wife has this canny ability to look at men and women, not in a judgmental attitude, but she always make this statement: that person sees something in that person that they wish they had. And so since they don't have it, they persecute them. They shun them. They find a way to character assassinate them. And that's what insecurity would do. It will make you feel inept or make you feel like you are not worthy. And it has nothing to do with that individual. It's something within yourself. And then also the fear of losing something valuable. When someone who's well equipped, built from the ground up, and I said I'm going to define that later on, when a man is built from the ground up, I'll go ahead and say it now. This term came from a boxer I was listening to. He was describing one particular boxer in which he had great upper body movement. He had great shoulders and chest and reach. And he said, but another guy came along and just annihilated him. And he said the guy that was doing the annihilating, he's built from the ground up, meaning this: look at his calf muscles, look at his legs. He's able to laterally move. He has great thrust and he has great movement with his legs, not to mention his upper body strength. So when he says built from the ground up, spiritually, we have some men that are built from the ground up. They look a certain way. They carry themselves a certain way. They articulate a certain way. They're intelligent. They know when to shut up. They know when to talk. Their family is together. Their finances are together. Their attitude is together. I mean, some men, you look at them and they're flawless. It's not, they do have flaws, but they compensate and they're constantly working on themselves. And when that type of man walks into a room, they suck all the air out. They're a polarizing individual. And that's the man I want to get with. That's the man I want to be around. That's the man I thrive to be. Not for selfish gain, but it's to help build other men and women and boys and girls and society in your workplace. You want to be a man or a woman that's built from the ground up. Then watch this. When you're built from the ground up, you are perceived as a rival or a competitor to the insecure man or woman. Woman, you can take this also. So when you walk in, immediately you become the bullseye. You become the target of a lot of people character assassinating you, saying things you didn't do. But you know what? God will always turn this thing around, that the more they character assassinate you, people are going to come to see. I forget what preacher it was that said, this man set me on fire and the world is going to come watch me burn. And that's what begins to happen when the insecure or the envious or the jealous person perceive the built from the ground up man or woman. They are a competitor. And what the enemy would try to use that individual to do, they will use them to try to take you out. They will use them to try to take attention away. But what they really doing is bringing more attention to you. Now, I took that time to define jealousy because I'm going to go into the three stories of another individual. But let me give you one more attribute of this jealousy. This jealousy will come to find out it will begin to rear its ugly head in various settings. Watch this now. It will come up in relationships. It will come up when the victorious person achieves something or they possess something, and the jealous person will begin to exhibit all the aforementioned characteristics. Is driven by one sense of worth of significance. Excuse me. In other words, they want to character assassinate. They want to take this built from the ground up person. Is driven as a desire to protect their own self-worth, because you know why? They feel all eyes are going to be taken off me and all eyes are going to be put on this individual. Tupac had a song, All Eyes on Me. Another story for another day. Yeah, I'm part of the hip-hop generation, but watch this. When all eyes are on you, listen, all I got to do is do what you did, begin to practice what you are practicing, and if I stay in my lane, God can do for me what he's doing for that individual, because I can't take what that guy has. I can't do what he does, but I can do what God has graced and blessed me with my own talents and abilities. Now watch this in the next 3 or 4 minutes, because I don't want to make this long. Look at the story of Cain and Abel in about the 4th and 5th chapter of the book of Genesis. You all know the story. Cain killed Abel because Cain was jealous of what Abel did. Notice the story. Cain was not satisfied with his own works, so he went about and killed his own brother, because the scripture says Abel's works was good and God accepted it. When people see what you're doing is good, the jealous person will character assassinate you, and even to the point in some settings in the world physically killed another individual because their own works were evil and they were jealous of someone else. I'm talking about the spirit of jealousy that stops your blessing. When you are jealous of another individual, it stops your blessings. You don't have to be jealous of someone else. Just begin to work on yourself. I saw a picture one time, and I see if I can bring it back up again. It was about a block of marble, and what happened was it was a man with a hammer and chisel, and he was working on himself. He was chiseling out what he wanted himself to be. And if we put ourselves around the right individuals with the right attitude, with the right accomplishments, with the right integrity, we can build ourselves up with the grace of God from the ground up. We can build our marriage, our manhood, our womanhood, our money, our family, our community, our churches, our jobs. We can build a lot if we can assassinate this spirit of jealousy. And you know the story of Cain and Abel. In the end, Cain ended up killing Abel, but even when Abel was slain, his works began to speak beyond the grave. His blood began to cry out to God, and God will vindicate. Listen, I'm not talking about physical death, but when people character assassinate you, when people talk about you, do you know your works will speak for you? You just need to keep your face set like flint, meaning look straight on. Keep on doing what you're doing. And let the naysayers talk, but let your works speak for you. Now, there's another story of Saul and King David. There was a story of David the shepherd boy. You guys know about King David, but you may not know about Saul. Saul was a king that was looking for someone to slay Goliath. David was just a shepherd boy, but David had been working on himself. David said, I killed a lion, I killed the bear, and who is this giant that should defy the armies of the living God? David had been practicing with himself. He had been practicing, and I got another message to talk about. Your day is coming. When I say your day is coming, the small accomplishments and achievements is building you up for your day when God is going to unveil you to the world. God is trying you and pruning you and grooming you because he's going to let the stage curtains open for you. because you've been overcoming the small one. To win great battles, you got to overcome the small battles. And that's what David was doing. He was overcoming the small battles. And what happened? Saul began to get jealous. And what happened is, I'm going to tell you on the next broadcast because my time is up. I'm Mark Holliday. This is your encouraging word for today. Stay tuned for part 2. You have a great day.